Viewers, we're straight away cutting across to some breaking updates that have been making the news over the past few weeks. We have seen how the entire controversy had erupted over a survey that was wanted to be carried out in the Qutub Minar as well. And now we're learning that the Sakit court begins a hearing on an appeal regarding the restoration of the 27 Hindu and Jain temples in the Qutub Minar complex in Maroli as well. And we had seen how earlier as well there was a survey that was expected to be carried out, and then of course we had seen that the Minister of State had to come out and clarify that there is no such permission that has been given to carry out any kind of survey there in the Qutub Minar as well. Remember, since the entire controversy of Gyanvapi has also broken out, we have seen repercussions in the entire country, starting with a survey that was expected to carry out with the Taj Mahal as well, a petition that had been made in the court. And now we see another such incident of the Sakit court also hearing an appeal that had been made to the court asking for the restoration of 27 Hindu and Jain temples that have been allegedly present in the Qutub Minar complex in Maroli is something that is stated in the appeal that has been made to the court as well. We will keep a track of further arguments that have been presented before the court as well, but we had seen that this controversy in fact was not coming to light for the first time. We had in fact seen that there were several people asking for a survey to also be carried out, and then of course we had seen that the Minister of State had to come out and clarify that there is no such permission as of now that has been given to carry out any kind of survey there at the Qutub Minar. But as we see right now in the latest development that there is a hearing that is underway. And Niranjan also joins me on the broadcast from the Mumbai newsroom. Niranjan, we have seen that the hearing in fact is underway at the Sakit court. What more are you picking up with respect to the arguments that would be set forth?
First of all, just to put the full story in context, after the Gyanvapi debate, Mathura, Qutub Minar, there was an attempt to raise Taj Mahal as well, but the court in that particular case, stopped it and questioned the petitioner. But in the Qutub Minar case, we've seen protests outside the Qutub Minar, and the latest update now coming in, and this is basically to give you a background. There are 3 collected appeals before the courts, and they're against the trial court order dismissing the suit order 7, Rule 11. That's the Hindu petitioner Hari Shankar Jain. And just to tell you what the argument is being put forth by the Hindu side. 27 Hindu temples, they say that 27 Hindu temples were demolished and a mosque called the Quwwatul Islam Masjid was built from the remains, is what the Hindu petitioner is arguing in court, and adding, while reading the prayers in the original petition mentioned in the annexure of the appeal. So these are live developments that we are seeing. You've seen the shots of the protest on your screen of what has been happening in the last few days and weeks outside the Qutub Minar. And the Hindu petitioner is referring to the notification which notified Qutub Minar complex as a monument. So the same argument being put forth here when they say that it was, that the Places of Worship Act does not apply because it's a monument is the argument. And they're saying that the temples were demolished by invaders and the mosque was built to showcase the might of another religion. It was never used by Muslims to offer namaz, is what the Hindu side is arguing. And these are some of the developments inside the courtroom right now. The Hindu side also arguing once again, just now the latest update coming in, that the temples were demolished by Muslim invaders and the mosque was built to showcase the might of Islam. It was never used by Muslims to offer namaz, is what Hari Shankar Jain is arguing in court. And the court has also responded. The court has observed that you want to convert or restore a monument into a place of worship, assuming that it was invaded, demolished, and let us go ahead with the assumption that Muslims have not offered prayers from the last 800 years. Can you claim it to be restored? And on what basis is what the court is questioning the Hindu side right now. The court asking, that you want to convert or restore a monument into a place of worship, assuming that the Qutub Minar was invaded, demolished, and let us go ahead with the assumption that Muslims have not offered prayers from the last 800 years. Court is asking, can you claim it to be restored and on what basis? These are live updates from inside the courtroom. Let's tell you what else is happening inside the courtroom. The court is asking the Hindu petitioners also on whether they can claim a legal right to seek restoration. The court on the point of the restoration asking whether the Hindu side can claim a legal right. Okay, whether the Hindu side can claim a legal right to seek restoration. And that's the breaking news update coming in, and the Hindu side is now responding to what the court has observed, saying that they're going to read out that they're reading out the Monuments Act once again. So this is once again that debate between the 1991 Places of Worship Act, whether that applies or whether the Monuments Act applies. The Hindu side saying once a deity property, always a deity property. The divinity of a deity never vanishes, is what the Hindu side is arguing in the court. So these are some of the arguments being made on the Qutub Minar case, which is right now being argued in court, and the Hindu side has put forth their views. Once again, if you're joining the broadcast right now, to give you a few details of what is happening inside the courtroom, the Hindu side has argued this afternoon that 27 Hindu temples were demolished and a mosque called Qutub Masjid was built from the remains, is what one of the petitioners has argued in the court. And Jain, arguing the Hindu side, reading the prayers in the original suit mentioned in the annexure of the appeal, has also referred to the notification which notified Qutub Minar as a monument. So they're arguing on the Monuments Act, adding that the temples, now this is the argument, they're saying that the temples were demolished by a Muslim invader, by Muslim invaders, and that the mosque was built to showcase the might of Islam, and it was never used by Muslims to offer namaz, is what the Hindu petitioners have just argued in the court right now, adding also, and the court in fact has responded to that, saying if you want to convert, and this is the court in context of the Qutub Minar case, asking if you want to convert or restore a monument into a place of worship, and assuming that it was invaded, demolished, and let us go ahead with the assumption that Muslims have not offered prayers from the last 800 years. The court says, can you claim it to be restored, and on what basis? And the court has further observed, can you claim a legal right to seek restoration of the Qutub Minar monument? That's the breaking news update coming in. Getting in the live breaking news updates, the Hindu side has also responded, and in their opening arguments they've mentioned the Monuments Act, saying that once a deity property, always a deity property. The divinity of a deity never vanishes. The Hindu side lawyers also referring to the Ayodhya judgment while supporting their arguments. So reference being made to the Ayodhya judgment as well in the Qutub Minar case. The Hindu side lawyers are referring to the Ayodhya judgment while supporting their arguments and getting in more details. The Hindu side lawyers are now referring to the Ayodhya judgment while saying that even after the demolition of the temple, the sanctity, the divinity of the deity and the temple is never lost. That was to the question that the court asked on restoration. So these are some of the updates that we're getting in from inside the courtroom right now. We'll also go across to Ananya, who's tracking the story for us. And the story is moving very, very fast because the court essentially asked that if you want to convert or restore a monument into a place of worship, assuming that it was invaded, demolished, and let us go ahead with the assumption that Muslims have not offered prayers here for the last 800 years. The court is asking, can you really claim it to be restored, and on what basis? And the court is also asked, can you claim a legal right? The court is asked, can you claim a legal right to seek restoration of the Qutub Minar? And the Hindu side has responded by reading the Monuments Act. They're citing the Monuments Act as they continue with the argument, saying that once it's a deity property, it's always a deity property, and that the divinity of a deity never vanishes. And just getting in more breaking news update from inside the courtroom, the Hindu side lawyers also made a reference to the Ayodhya judgments while supporting their arguments on Qutub Minar, and getting in more updates now. The Hindu side saying that even after the demolition of the temple, the sanctity, The divinity of the deity and the temple is never lost. That's another breaking news update that just came in. In fact, they're relying on the Ayodhya judgments as well and making some references from that. And for example, they're saying that even after the demolition of a temple, the sanctity and divinity of the deity of the temple is never ever lost. And the Hindu side says Lord Ganesha is still there. Very, very important. The Hindu side saying that Lord Ganesha is still there. On the last date, my lords passed an order to preserve the idols. There is also an iron pillar. They're saying that there is also an iron pillar which is 1,600 years old. And the same is also an object of worship. There are Sanskrit shlokas on it. So in the Qutub Minar argument that is underway, the Qutub Minar hearing that is underway in Delhi right now, the big breaking news update on the hearing right now, the Hindu side has said Lord Ganesha is still there. On the last date, my lords, that is the courts passed an order to preserve the idols. There is also an iron pillar which is 1,600 years old, and the same is also an object of worship. There are Sanskrit shlokas on it. And the court on a lighter vein has said, the court has said in a lighter vein, if the deity is surviving for the last 800 years without worship, then let it be. That's what the court has said on a lighter vein. And these are some of the breaking news updates that we are getting. And we will be able to get, we'll try and get some more voices on this, because today is a big day. You have in Gyanvapi an order that is likely to be given that will decide which way this case goes. And we will try and get our reporters as well and our legal experts who've been, who've been joining us live on the story. Very, very critical, critical argument that was made by the Hindu side here, that Lord Ganesha is still there. And on the last day, this is Harishankar Jain who says, on the last date, the courts passed an order to preserve the idols. There is also an iron pillar which is 1,600 years old, and the same is also an object of worship. There are Sanskrit shlokas on it, is what Harishankar Jain has observed, has argued, I beg your pardon, to which the court has responded, saying, this is what the court said, on a lighter vein, if the deity is surviving for the last 800 years without worship, then let it be. And this is the court responding to the Hindu petitioner here, that the existence of the idol is existing and not under question. The idol is there, but the real question is about the right to worship. The question is whether there is a denial of fundamental rights of the appellant. I think